Hello, this is lesson 4 of chapter 1, Probability and Statistics. Our topic for today is statistical problem-solving process. Our essential outcome for the day is that you will be able to say all 4 of the statistical problem-solving steps and give examples or explain each one. So for today's lesson, what I'm actually going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you start up by reading. You're going to read pages 19 through 22 of your textbook, and if you look through those, you're going to start the statistical problem-solving process, and you can end after you get to the blue line on top of page 22. Make sure you read example 110 and 111 as well. So pause the video here and take the time to read those pages. Okay, what we're going to do now is I really want to see if you guys learned what these steps are and if you can give an example or explain each one. So now what I'm going to have you do is you're going to put the steps in order. You're going to pair up the step with the definition, and you're going to then check with your book to see if you did it correctly. So here are the 4 steps. They're all mixed up. Here are the 4 explanations. They're all mixed up. Try and get them in order with the correct definition. Pause the video here as you. On this next slide, I have them all matched up correctly. So here we go. Here's the next slide. Check yours. Make sure they agreed with mine. If they didn't, erase them, rewrite them in the correct order with the correct explanation, because these are the 4 steps that you're going to use as you do statistics. I mean, it's the statistical problem-solving process. And so, I mean, you always start with asking a question. What are you wondering about? And then you produce data, you collect data, you do an experiment or an observation, and then you take all that data and you analyze it. And the way you analyze it is you can do numerical summaries, you can find the average, you can find the quartiles, you can find the mode, the median, and all these things we'll talk about as the class goes on. You're going to describe any patterns you see in the data, if there's any outliers, any deviations. And then you're going to take that data and you're going to interpret it and see what the answer to your question is. And that's what statistics is all about, is being able to ask a question and see what the answer is. So a big question that people always ask is, what's better? Is Coke better or is Pepsi better? And so what I'd like to show you next is actually a graphic comparing Coke and Pepsi. And so here's the graphic. We'll look at it a little bit of time. So it's called the Cola Wars, because it's Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola. And so if you think about the Cola Wars, they've been going on for decades between the 2 soft drink manufacturers. They have been competing against each other with price, with ads, with marketing campaigns, with new flavors, and different celebrities. And so if we look at this, we're going to first look at the economic facts of the Coke versus Pepsi wars. And so if we look at them, okay, revenue growth for 2000. If you look at these little black lines, how full these bottles are, okay. Coke bottle didn't really have a lot of revenue growth in 2010. You follow that line over, it's about, I'd say about 10%. Whereas Pepsi, follow that line over, hey, that's probably a lot closer to like 39%. If you think about their income growth in 2010, however, Coke, whoa, all the way up at 80. Pepsi, pretty low, maybe 5%. And if you think about, okay, the prices over time, well, Coke was 5 cents in the 1940s, Coke and Pepsi were. And today, well, if you think about the cost, 1940s, Coke or Cola, Pepsi and Coke were both about 5 cents. Today, they're about $1.75. Their market shares in 2010, well, Coke's market shares had risen 42%, Pepsi 29%, Dr. Pepper 17%. So all these different statistics, they say different things, but do they answer our question? Who knows? If we look at the timelines, Dr. Pepper was the first cola to come on the scene in the 1800s. Then Coca-Cola came along, and then Pepsi came along in the 1890s. Coca-Cola had an advertising budget over $100,000 in the 1900s. And that doesn't seem like a lot to us now, but back then that was worth a lot of money. In the 1900s, Coke also came up with Chero Cola, or RC Cola came up with Chero Cola. In the 1920s, Coca-Cola is given the opportunity to buy Pepsi, and they don't. 3 times. Bad decision on their part. In the 1930s, Pepsi enters bankruptcy due to losses from fluctuating sugar prices. Okay, well, we almost lost Pepsi there for a while. 1940s, the Sprite Boy is invented to convey that Coca-Cola and Coke represent the same, or reference the same products. That's when cola became called Coke. It wasn't. So Coca-Cola and Coke became synonymous. That's also when World War II was going on, and the U.S. government asked for Coca-Cola to be made available to their troops. During that time, Pepsi-Cola decided to take on a new American patriotic flair with their red, white, and blue color scheme that they still have today. In the 1950s, Coca-Cola broadcast its first TV commercial on Thanksgiving Day. Then Pepsi began to advertise itself as a lifestyle choice instead of by its price. Royal Crown is another cola company. They were the first company to sell a drink in a can. Before that, they only came in glass bottles. Dr. Pepper eventually also tried to sue Coca-Cola. 1960, Coca-Cola picks up their red and white scheme and logo, which they still have. Pepsi, the first Pepsi Generation campaign comes out. 1970, Pepsi releases reveals that consumers prefer Pepsi to Coke. And Dr. Pepper, in 1970s, Dr. Pepper sues Coke again. That's when Mr. Pibb came about. 1980s, Coke and Pepsi are both taken on the Space Shuttle Challenger in special space cans. That's pretty exciting. Then they introduced Diet Coke. RC, another cola company, developed a caffeine for cola called RC100 as well. Dr. Pepper's struggling in there. In the 1990s, the Coca-Cola polar bears were introduced in the commercial Northern Lights, trying for some branding stuff. In the 2000s, a 12-pack carton designed to fit conveniently in the refrigerators introduced by Coca-Cola. And then the Joy of Pepsi is featured, and Pepsi partnered with baseball, soccer, and football for some advertising. And so it's been this big battle between the two of them for years. And if we go back up to the top, we can look at some other stuff. We look at this graph up here on the top right, stock prices. Okay, well, they were pretty even there up until about 1992 in there. And then Coke soared until 2000 where they dropped. But now, they've come back up, and Pepsi's been pretty consistent climbing up there. They've kind of slowed down a little bit in the past few years, but they're still putting up a fight. Now, the Cola Wars have continued with them adopting or acquiring other companies. Coca-Cola owns a bunch of different places: Foos, Minute Maid, Vitamin Water, Barks, Thumbs Up, Odwalla. Whereas Pepsi, they own Gatorade, Tropicana, Izzy, Life Water, the Naked Juices. And so these have just helped with their marketing and with their variety of flavors. So if you think about it, okay, well, Coca-Cola and Pepsi quickly became more than just cola for their flavors. Over the years, Coca-Cola's acquired a lot of different things. They have a lot of different flavors going on. And so does Pepsi. And they create these flavors to compete against each other. As you see, like they're matched up all the way through. But if we think about the top-selling brand, in 2000, Coke Classic was the favorite. And then it was Pepsi Cola close behind with Diet Coke up there, Mountain Dew, and Sprite. And if you look back up at our chart right above there, you can see that Coke owns Sprite and Diet Coke. So they got 3 of the top 5 spots in 2000, whereas Pepsi owns Pepsi Cola, obviously, and Mountain Dew. So they had 2 of the top 5. And if you look at it now in the more recent survey in 2010, Coca-Cola took the top 2 spaces with Coke and Diet Coke, and Pepsi's fallen close behind in 3rd place with Pepsi Cola and Mountain Dew, and then Dr. Pepper is kind of off on its own little world down there. So they each have 2 in the top 5 in the most recent survey. And so this is a lot of information. So if we ask the question, what's better, Coke or Pepsi? Well, depending on what you're thinking about it, there's a lot of data and statistics to go off of to make this decision. So part of the statistical solving process, problem solving process, is deciding what data is relevant and what data is not. And so being presented with all this data, what do you think? Do you think Coke's better, Coca-Cola's better, or do you think that Pepsi's better? I personally don't drink pop. I don't really have an opinion. I don't really like either, but I know some people who will only drink Coke and some people who will only drink Pepsi because they swear by them. They say it's the best. So what I'd like you to do now is make that decision, finish your notes, and now write a summary. What did you learn today? What questions do you have about what you learned today? Will you be able to state, and then make sure that you can state all 4 of the statistical problem solving steps and give examples or explain each step. So pause the video now, right? Listed below I have the 4 steps. Ask a question. Which one's better, Coke or Pepsi? Produce or gather data. That was that entire long list we have. And then analyze that data by creating a graph or numerical summary. We saw a lot of graphs in there, numerical summaries. And then interpret the results. Make a decision. Which one's better, Pepsi or Coke? This is the end of lesson 4 of chapter 1. Your next lesson is lesson 5 of chapter 1 for probability and statistics.